I bet each and every one of you is ready to start shooting their film. Now that you've got a taste for getting out and filming, what we need to do now is plan. And it's an element of filming that I really didn't appreciate that much in the beginning. I so came more from a world of let's just get out there and shoot and see what happens and let the magic just kind of happen on set. And that's sort of like going out and just building a house. Like if you're just like, oh, I just need a hammer, nails, and some wood and I can build a house. No, you want to plan. You want to prep. It's going to be that much better. I mean, you could ramshackle together some boards and, call it a house, but if you plan, it's going to be a lot better. And it can seem a tad bit tedious if you're more of the artistic brain versus the kind of calculating brain. It can seem a bit much. So you really have to know your story inside and out and start thinking what's going to help serve the narrative. What shots are going to make it better? How do I prep and how do I plan that's going to make this film better? Well, there's different elements that you can bring together to do this. And that's what we're going to work on. And keep in mind, there's a reason why I think you should keep your films simple. Not only will it help keep this process simple, but I think it's good. Doing a well-written 3-page is going to serve you better than a all-right written 7-page. So just keeping that in mind, because you will have work and planning to do with it. Keep your script simple. So not only does planning give you the opportunity of making a better, more thought out film, it can save you time. And eventually, if you go into this industry, it'll save you money. Just because you've kind of done the legwork to get it there to where, I mean, really time is money in film. You want to be efficient. You want to go to set. You want all the departments to know what it is you're doing ahead of time so that they can do their job, and the actors know what they're doing so they can do their job, and you'll save money. Now, a lot of you are just shooting on your phone and it's not that huge of a production, but it's good to get the ground floor kind of put in for this process. So every project you do will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Before you know it, you'll be on a huge set in Austin or LA or New York or somewhere like that. Regardless of what you're doing, you need to plan. There's an element of plan. I don't know anybody who's shot something that doesn't require at least one actor or a prop or a location or something like that. So keep that in mind, that planning is crucial. So you've already done a lookbook, and I think that's a great first step. It just kind of helps you start to visualize the story, visualize what it is that you want, the mood, the style, the pacing. Is it quick? Is it slow? So that's where you kind of start to put together the art of everything. And now we have our shooting script. And it's kind of important as you begin this process that you get the script where it needs to be. Now, obviously, you might start before I get your script graded. I don't think I will recommend to take major scenes out. But you might later on. I'm going to give you a little bit of freedom because they are so short. And you don't have a ton of time to get everything done. So I'll probably, it'll be more like the spelling and the grammar, but I don't know. I might read something and be like, this does not make any sense, or this is completely unnecessary. But in either case, when it comes to planning, make sure your script is what we call locked. It's the shooting script. It's ready to go. And also, before you start this, you need to add in these numbers. See how there's this 21 next to this scene heading right here? That is a scene heading in the margin, and it is crucial to planning. So you need to make sure you have this in your script. And how you get this, if you used Celtex is quite simple. Just go to View and Scene Numbers, and I would put it on both. You don't have to, but if you want to just do one, do both. And that's a little bit more. A lot of times these shooting scripts go into 3-ring binders, and it just puts it in a place where it won't get, where you could still see the numbers. So they kind of put it on right and left, but just go ahead and put it on both. I think it looks more professional that way. That's what we're going for. So you have to, these are your reference for everything planning. Oh, so let me just show you. If for some reason, this is from a pilot that I've worked on for forever. Let's just say, see how it's scene heading right here? You need to make sure that all your scene headings are labeled, because if I switch it to action, see, it goes away. Well, we don't want that. We want it as a scene heading. So you might have to go through and change those if they weren't labeled as a scene heading. So crucial, make sure your script, it is ready to go. All the corrections are made. You've checked the spelling, you've checked the format, you've checked the grammar, and then you lock it. So one of the things that you'll be doing is a lined script. This has a lot to do with editing, but it also, I think for me, it's a good way of starting to think what kind of shots that you want. And this is where having kind of getting a little ahead. Let me move to the shot list first before we get to that. I should have these in a different order. So a shot list is exactly what it sounds like. It is a list of the shots that you want to get. So you include that shot number, that scene number with a shot number. And for shot, we call it a shot number, but it has a letter designation. And that is for clarity's sake, because if, let's say you were shooting scene number 2 and shot number 1, it might look like 21 or whatever number beside it. So we use the letter. A represents 1, B 2, C 3, so on and so forth. And then on your list, you talk about what kind of shot it is: wide shot, medium shot, extreme close-up. Is it a low angle, high angle, Dutch, canted? If there's a special lens, if there's any kind of movement, is it interior or exterior, and a basic description. So what does that look like? 1A, 1B. So they're going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots in scene 1. So every time there's a new scene heading, there's a new number. And the way I like to think of it is, if the camera is picked up and moved into a new room, that's when, if a character walks from the living room to a kitchen, or kitchen to the bedroom, whatever it might be, if you're in a new room, you need a new scene number. And then you'll see how it starts over with the new scene. Then it goes 2A, 2B, 2C, however many you need. There might just be, one shot, so it'd be 2A. But this one, they've got quite a few again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They messed up. That's why I was thrown off. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just a sheet to refer back to. So then I'm not requiring you to slate, because that's more for one. I don't think we have slates, but that's for syncing up the sound with the camera. Now, that said, you can hold up a sheet of paper or something like that in front of your camera. So you roll camera, hold up the sheet, you're marking it, and you could say shot 1A, take 1, shot 1B, take 1, and then keep a little notebook with you, and maybe take 4 was good. So you could be 1B, take 4, that's the one you want to use. When you get to editing, then, makes the process a lot simpler. I'm not requiring that. For this, if we were to do one more film this semester, I probably would make you do a camera report of some kind. But it's going to get a little too complex. But then you can write a little description of what the shot is. There's no right and wrong way for the format. Planning is all about telling your crew and telling yourself what you need to get in every scene, right? When it comes down to it, that's what it is sometimes it'll get chaotic on a set. I've been like a producer on some, and the creatives have not had good meetings as far as what's going on and when. And there's just chaos and confusion, and the camera doesn't know what to do. Production design doesn't know what to do. Wardrobe doesn't know what to do. Props doesn't know what to do. All this stuff, not just the shot list, but all this planning is everybody in the crew's way of knowing exactly what's going on. So they don't have to come to the director every 2 seconds. What's going on? What are we getting? Well, we know we're getting this shot first. And that's just what it is, like refer to your sheet for things. So that's why we plan. While I'm thinking about it, let me open up, see if I get a Word doc going really quick. Just so you can kind of see it. So your shooting order, when you go to actually, can I zoom in on this? I don't know, probably. Hopefully you can see that. Your shooting order, there's a master shot. Now this is the whole scene, start to finish. Okay. If you can, always start with your master shot. And why we do this, especially at this level of filmmaking, is let's see you have a scene where your actor comes in and sits down at a desk, does a test, gets up, turns the test in, and walks out of the class. Okay, that's the whole scene. Now, your actor that you're probably using is a student right now, right? So they got class, they got work, they got life. A lot of times for getting your friends to come act, they don't show up, or they're like, I have a half hour. So you want to get this whole scene in from start to finish. That way, if they have to leave, something goes wrong, you at least have the scene, right? You have it from start to finish. And technically you have a scene shot, because things come up all the time. So then from there we go to our medium shots, whatever those might be. Maybe a medium shot of them coming in the door, medium shot of them sitting down, a medium shot of them getting up, a medium shot of them turning the test in. And then your close-ups. And same reason applies. If your actor has to go, you can maybe fake it a little bit with some of these close-ups. You don't need all the medium shots, right? And then last, insert shots. So maybe, things like a clock or the professor watching them take a test. So we go wide, closer, closest, right? Or kind of in that process. That's a good one to follow. The other thing, you can shoot out of order. You can shoot scene 2, then scene 7, then scene 8. You want to start to think of, like, let's say I'm shooting in a house, right? All right, and I have 2 scenes in a bedroom. Shoot all the scenes in a room plus time of day at once. Okay, and I'm sorry, I have a cold, so I am sniffling like crazy. So all the scenes in a room plus the time of day at once. So if there is 4 scenes in a bedroom in the morning, I'm going to shoot all 4 of those scenes in the bedroom at once. I'm going to give my actor time to go get changed, whatever the case may be, in between each scene, and it'll save me a lot of time instead of having to come back. Now, we don't have a ton of lights and stuff like that. I mean, really, that's the main cause, is it takes a really long time to light a room, and this will just save you time. But if you get in good practice of this, I would do it. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, it might behoove you, if you don't have a lot of lights, just logically think it out. What's going to make the most sense in doing this? I would recommend, just so you're in the practice, shoot everything in that room at once. Keep in mind your continuity. So things like what are they wearing, things like that. If you do have to keep up with that, that could become important. Hopefully you're not doing anything that complex that requires all of this. It's just a simple 3-page scene. But think of those things ahead of time. Try and shoot everything in the same room at once if you can, and then move on to the next place. You don't have to shoot scene 1, then scene 2, then scene 3, then scene 4, then scene 5, right? You're not filming. I can't think of that Leonardo DiCaprio film where he gets like mauled by a bear and they shot it in order. You're not making that film, and we're not putting on a play. So you got to kind of look at your script logically and say what makes the most sense in how we shoot this. Shoot all your night scenes at once, as much as you can, in as close of a location as you can. All right, let's get back here. Okay, so shot list. Let's go back up to the line script. All right, so now this is kind of what a line script is going to look like. Basically, we could see that scene number, shot number, and what it is. So 24A wide shot. And that covers, this line represents it covering the whole scene. So you know, okay, I need a wide shot, this master shot for the whole scene. 24B, remember we're in the same scene. Here's our second shot. B, a close-up. 24C, close-up. People just talking. And then we have 24D, a micro close-up. We have 24E, an insert. Part of this is I don't need to film all of 24E. I don't need to get all this. I just need Mitchell looks irritated. I just need that shot. So sometimes now with it being digital, you can shoot the whole scene out. That way you have options. The squiggly lines just represent where when a character is... I've heard two different things. This is basically for the editor to know if there's a face or who we shouldn't be looking at this point. So on this line right here, we should be looking at shot 24C. And then, you know, same with here is we want to be looking at 24B. So really it's just a way of getting you to edit the film ahead of time. And shows you what kind of coverage you need to get. I need to make sure I cover this. I'm covering this. I'm covering this. Again, scheduling. This is planning out what days, when you're going to shoot, where you're going to shoot. You got to think of travel time. Hopefully you're keeping it simple. You're just on campus. You're at somewhere with your control. That said, if you're shooting anything, I haven't read the scripts yet. They're not technically due yet, but make sure you look for authority figures in where you're going to shoot, depending on what you're shooting. I have had police show up on my shoots twice. And I've had students shot at when they trespassed somewhere. So be aware of where you're shooting. Be aware if you need to get permission. Sometimes I get location releases. I kind of thought that might be a little bit overkill on this one, but if you're somewhere that you don't have permission, you want to get permission to shoot. Don't occupy things like public restrooms or public elevators, things like that. Again, I've seen it happen and I've seen students kind of get in trouble. Just be aware of where you're at. And there's a little bit of adage, it's better to beg forgiveness and ask permission. But most people, when they hear, ooh, we're going to film, here they're okay with it. Give yourself plenty of time. Start planning and prepping now. Get your actors organized now because, again, since you're probably not paying your actors, it's going to be really hard to wrangle them. More than one person from this class will probably tell me they had an issue scheduling their actors around their work schedule, their class schedule. Because just think about it. You're asking somebody to come probably for 8, 10, 12 hours out of their day for free to help you on an assignment. So if you plan now and ask them, okay, what date works for you, you're going to have a little bit easier time. This is why you don't want too many characters in speaking roles. You want to keep it simple. Keep yourself organized. I can't stress that enough. Just organize, organize. If you have somebody that can help you with the organization, great. Maybe you help somebody on their film; they'll come help you. Vice versa. Is just somebody there to make sure that the minutia, the organization, and the scheduling are all done right. Okay, a call sheet, and this is just a way. Keeping your day organized, keeping your crew organized, and it creates a plan. And I have some examples. This is actually going to be for extra credit for you. It's really simple. You'll just print out a document and fill out the information like what time you're meeting, who's going to be there, things to consider like sunset, what the weather's going to be like, where parking is, where bathrooms are. That's stuff that goes on a call sheet. And there is examples. Production call sheet. So you can see what scenes, what pages, location, what cast members need to be there, things like contact information. When you start getting all these people involved in your production, somebody doesn't show up, what time their call time is. Different people have different call times. So here's another one. Again, just a nice, simple, easy one. I gave you a template and that's going to be for extra credit. Calendar. Start making a calendar now. It does not need to be formal. Just something that shows if you have meetings, rehearsals, when you're scouting, when you're shooting, when you're editing, and what your due dates are. This is just to keep you organized so everybody knows. And again, I provided you with a template, but you can create your own. But it should have pre-production elements, production elements, post-production, and the due dates. Scouting. Scouting is just going to those locations and looking around and seeing what's there. Listening for different sounds, like are you next to a railroad track? Is the refrigerator humming? Is there anything I need to be aware of? What are the electrical situations like? Do I have plugins? Again, we're not using a ton of equipment. But it's important. And you can take pictures so you know, okay, I want the camera here, I want the camera here, I want the camera here, blah, blah, blah. Again, get permission if you need it and get it on paper. One other thing I've seen, and it's important to do, is like if you're shooting in someone's house, get something on there that like you're not responsible for stuff that you don't break. I have seen, like no joke, I've seen somebody sue a student or try to. And like a chair broke and they wanted like $500 because they said it was an antique. So get yourself covered and know where you're shooting. I have posted this, but this is a little YouTube video on location scouting, and I'll show you in the next lecture where that's at. Okay, overheads, storyboards, photo boards, and video boards. You're going to pick one of these to do, and overhead is exactly what it sounds like. We are looking at the scene from a God's eye view. We're looking down, so we're drawing out where actors are, where they move, where the camera is, where the cameras move, and we're marking each setup. So we'll have a shot number and a scene number associated with each one. These are good. This is especially good. Like I've done this on a film. This is great for the lighting department. This gave them a good idea ahead of time. Then they knew where they needed to light. And so they didn't need to wait on me like, okay, the actors are going to be there and the camera's going to be there. We, of course, had meetings, but they could always then refer to it. So that's just what an overhead. You mark what scene it is and draw out the dimensions of the room. And there is an app that I use called Shot Designer, and it does this for you. And in fact, it can animate if the camera moves or the crew moves. And then actually when you click on the camera, you can take a picture of what the camera is supposed to be seeing and put it there. So it's very effective. That's what an overhead is. Storyboards are, you've probably heard of, they're the drawing. I can't draw, so I don't like using these, but some people do. It helps them visualize. Oh my gosh, I just totally lost his name. Martin Scorsese. There we go. He started out making films as a kid, basically drawing them like cartoons, but he can draw. So when I do these, it probably confuses people more than than just explaining it. But just put the scene, shot number, what kind of shot it is, medium, long shot, and you can kind of indicate the characters kind of coming into frame, going this way, we're panning, we're tilting. You can make it a little bit, if this is a way for you to figure out how you want to do it, great. You can do storyboards. I like doing photo boards. It's the same thing, except you're taking pictures and labeling them as opposed to drawing them. Quicker, yes. And it cleaner, yes. Because you can get to the actual location, so you can kind of start to see what it is you want. There are apps out there too, Shot Designer, like I had mentioned, where you can get them. I think it's a $5 purchase and well worth it. And you can start to design these. All right, so those are the basics of what you'll be doing as far as planning. You could go much more in depth with these, and just there's no limit to how far you can really take this. It's so much of an industry of planning ahead of time. I mean, some films it's years in the making of planning before you actually go out and shoot. Alfred Hitchcock found the shooting process boring. He said it's already shot before they even get to set because it is so planned out. So that is what you're going to be working on, and I hope you enjoy. It's a fun step. It'll just amplify your film that much more.